This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, welcome to another edition of AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. And we are going to take a little turn as we have entered the spring time. And we have never talked about health, nutrition, eating, food to nurture your writing skills, your author brain, your author marketing, fill in the blank. So we're going to play with that today. With me is a fabulous expert on nutrition and wellness. Connie Pshigoda speaks. She writes for her education and health. Pshigoda. For education and health and nutrition. She's got a long career as a natural health consultant and massage, and she has all kinds of other techniques that she uses that she'll probably share with us a little bit. And all of it comes from her roots as a kiddo growing up on the farm. She's the author of The Wise Woman's Almanac, a seasonal guide for recipes for new beginnings that never go out of season. And even though woman is in the title, you guys, it's great information for you too. So, Connie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Judith. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Well, let's kind of brainstorm a little bit here, because you talk about, I've heard you say this a gazillion times, there's foods that heal and there's foods that steal. What does that mean?
I love this topic, Judith, and I touched on it in my book as well. I recommend to my clients and my listeners to choose their foods as carefully as they would choose their friends. Because there are some foods, primarily I call them the man-made, manufactured type foods that are very low in nutrients, high in calories, high in the trans fats, high in sugars, and all the stuff that does not contribute to cellular growth and activity. And we want to consume regularly a great amount of foods that bring that cellular healing to our bodies. Because if we don't have healthy cellular activity, we're going to feel sluggish, whether it's physically in our body or intellectually in our brain. So definitely want to choose foods that are going to contribute to life-giving and not distracting from our energetic abilities.
So why don't you, Connie, I haven't heard people really talk much about cellular healing. So can you give us kind of a definition of what that is?
Our body is created and is made up of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of cells. And that's just the lifeblood of our energy. We need cells for brain function. We need cells for every organ function, cells in our blood flow, skin cells. And you're right, it's not a glamorous topic. It's kind of beneath the surface. And we don't think about it, but it is vital to our overall energy and vibrancy of life. And the cells, I heard a speaker talk about one time, every single day, our body replaces about 300 billion cells. It's an ongoing life process. So as some of the cells no longer are energetic, they're replaced by newer activated cells, and we want the new cells to be better than what they're replacing. And that can only happen if we're eating life-giving foods and not life-stealing foods.
Yeah, I love your phrase, life-giving and life stealing. I think that's such a powerful phrase to use. So, and for our authors, I mean, I have to tell you, one of my, this is a bad Connie. You're going to come, you're going to you're going to drive over and slap me. This is sometimes I'm in it, there's comfort foods and sometimes it's stuff. I sometimes will pick up a bag of Cheetos. Oh, that's my gulp. Cheetos. And my orangey fingertips on the computer are hilarious.
I can only imagine.
Okay, so that's
the orange poof going through your office.
Oh my God! And there's nothing cellular enhancing about a bag of Cheetos, but just once in a while I will hit that. And that's a confession here, everybody. But that I think that you really do want to surround yourself with stuff that really will keep your brain cells going, your writing cells going, your energy cells going. So I think that's some of the things that we need to talk about. And what are those? And Connie has this amazing thing where she breaks them down, things that you should be in certain seasons and not use in certain seasons. Isn't that right, Connie?
That's just a simple, self-centered process. There is a lot of evidence that shows that eating seasonal foods that are ripened in their season, they definitely are tastier and they are higher in nutrients because they're ripe. They're not picked green and shipped across the country to be ripened on the way or injected with some type of a ripening chemical. So by choosing seasonal foods, and we're closing out of the heavier winter foods, going into the springtime foods, for me it's a simple way to get a variety of healthy foods into my body. And, kind of backing up to something you said before about your Cheetos, I think we've gotten so crazy about eating correctly that it's become a bigger stress factor for people, which almost is more detrimental than eating that bag of Cheetos. And what I recommend to my clients and readers and listeners is to just devise a workable plan for you. Obviously, Cheetos every day is going to steal your health. But
oh no, I don't do that.
And exactly. And sadly, there are some people who do. I mean, I've seen children's lunches where there's that little, even if it's a mini bag of the Doritos and all the flavors or the Cheetos or whatever, and these kids get a bag of that every single day. And it is concerning because their bodies are just really creating all of their cellular growth and the brain health. And so to just be watchful of that. But I'm all for simplicity, and I don't really want to have to think and reinvent the wheel every time I prepare a meal. So I'm sharing wisdom that I've learned, and I recommend to eat 80% healthy, 80% of the time, and fill your plate only 80% full. So your focus is at 80% or 85 or 95, whatever your lifestyle dictates. Focus on eating the healing foods and not the stealing foods. And then when you have that moment, the other foods don't matter. I make allowances in my diet for those no explanation foods. I don't like Cheetos, but I bet you I could run a pretty good race with you with just eating a bag of Lay's potato chips. The ruffled potato chips.
Oh.
So we all have those moments, and I don't always recommend cut all that out completely, but just having the wisdom to have more of the healing foods. And it's so interesting when we talked about doing this topic, I did a little bit of research on healthy foods and brain foods, and there was one article about 11 intelligence-killing foods you need to avoid, and the other article was on the 7 worst foods for your brain. So this topic is becoming, pardon me?
I said, ooh.
Yeah.
I want to, do you have that list in front of you?
I do.
Okay, so, we're about 2 minutes from a break, but I want to go through that list. I mean, I think all of us need to pay attention to that when we do come back from our break. I mean, as I said, we're just a couple of minutes away, but I think that's important to understand that there are some that we should avoid, period. Just avoid them.
You're right. I think it's important to know the list. So if you are going to sit down and write for an hour or two, perhaps you would not want to have one of these forbidden brain foods as your snack while you're writing. Save that for the reward afterward when you don't need your brain, when your brain cells are ready to relax from all the thinking. So yeah, it's definitely interesting information.
Well, what I like about what you do, Connie, is that you are informative. You know what works. I love that you really grew up on a farm, and that's what you had to eat, what was good. And all of you, if you want to find out more about this and what Connie does, she's got a great website, and it's called Wellness for All Seasons. And that's a plural, wellnessforallseasons.com. So I'd encourage you to explore it, and see, what some tips. Plus Connie has great recipes that she throws out all the time, which I love. And maybe she'll share a few with us. All right. So I love your 80% model. So eat 80% healthy and fill your plate. That's what we all forget. It's the 80% full, because geez, there's 100% of a plate, Connie.
Well, and then the other 20% of the time, like I say, that's the birthday parties, that's the family reunion, that's the girls' away weekend, or the guys' hunting trip, or those are the fun times. And then don't be so accountable for every morsel that you eat. So I think it does. It makes it very simple to follow.
Connie, I have a question. How much has our environment changed our food?
Yes and no. The environment has changed.
Oh, okay, hold on. Sure. Connie, hold on. I didn't see the last clue didn't come in. Anyway, hold on. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU shows you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you will find a supportive and brainstorming community that is connected and creative, no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual AuthorU extravaganza. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. AuthorU is the premier authoring resource in the country, creating community, education, guidance, vision, and success for the serious author. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. Timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted on its social media platforms, and it is free. Discover AuthorU, where authors go to become seriously successful. Join AuthorU today at AuthorU.org. Are you confused about publishing options? Do you know which printing option is best for your book? Does your stomach flip when you think about selling books? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what to do about book marketing and publicity? Get the answers and much more. Get them and from someone who knows publishing inside and out from both the traditional and independent sides, how to make a successful book. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand and platform, and is a success, a bestseller. It is your choice. You choose. If you want author and publishing success, You want Judith Briles as your book coach. Sign up for her weekly blogs and e-zine at thebookshepherd.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
With me today is Connie Pshigoda, and we're talking about your health, like how to be a better writer with brain power, with energy power, with body power. And it's going to be what you put in your body. So we're actually talking food today and nutrition a little bit. And Connie is the author. I mentioned it earlier, but she's the author of one of my favorite books, The Wise Woman's Almanac. And it's all about a seasonal guide for recipes for new beginnings that never go out of season. And with spring just around the corner, I really felt this would be a great time to really talk about coming out of the maybe for some of you, the winter doldrums, to really kickstart the writing and energy and all that. And food is going to be what it fuels it. So, Connie, back to you. We were talking about, as we went to the break, and I missed my cues, so we got cut off. But you were talking about some of those foods that are good, and some we're going to get into them. Some of them that are good, and some of them should be avoided at all costs. Is that right?
That's right. When we talked about doing this topic, I did a quick little research of healthy foods for the brain. And it was interesting because I came up with two separate articles, one entitled 11 Intelligence-Killing Foods You Need to Avoid, and the other title was The 7 Worst Foods for Your Brain. And interestingly, the list did overlap, so the same things are on the list. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting when we think about some of the, when you were talking about comfort foods and just the fun foods. And I'm not saying to totally cut those out of your diet. It's just that we need to be aware of maybe how often we're consuming them, because they may do more damage to our internal workings than we want them to, especially if we're focused on writing an article or a chapter. We really need our brain to perform. We want to cut out some of those foods. So I've got those lists. We can go through some of those.
Okay, let's hit the baddies first.
Well, interestingly enough, sugary products and sugary drinks are number one on both lists. So that would be all your sports drinks, your sodas, your energy drinks, and even fruit juices are high in sugars because they're so concentrated. So if you're wanting to focus on writing or taking a test or anything where you really need your brain power, the sugary foods are not on the list of to-do foods. So we've been programmed for so many years that if we want to rev up our energy, to eat something with sugar. And thankfully, science is really proving that not to be the case, that we might have a quick sugar high, but we definitely will have that drop later on. So sugary drinks and sugary foods are not recommended.
So it's in the highs, I guess it is that quick high that you can get from an energy goose drink. I think some people think, but it's the caffeine. I know myself, I dropped drinking all soda about 5 or 6 years ago. I just kind of I was a Dr. Pepper girl, and my kids would give me a case of it as a Christmas present. I was thrilled. And so I just cold turkeyed it. Just cold turkeyed and that. And I've always stayed away from the juices because I know that they were loaded with a lot of sugar.
They really are. We don't think about, we think of fruit juice being the natural drink, but what we forget is that we might drink 8 to 10 ounces or 12 ounces of a fruit juice, and that might be 4 or 5 pieces of that fruit. Because if anyone has juiced an orange, it's funny to watch the look of disappointment when they go, is that all the juice that comes out of one orange? So when you're thinking, and that's probably about the healthy amount of orange juice that we would need to drink to get the vitamins and the nutrients that we need from that particular food. But when we go to the store or we go to a restaurant and we order the large glass of orange juice, the sugar spike that it's going to give is just unbelievable. And many systems, bodies cannot take that. It's an overload, sugar overload.
Okay, so I have a question. Let's take a glass of orange juice, that fresh, they always sell it delectable, freshly squeezed orange juice, and an orange, a plain old-fashioned orange that you peel off and you take section by section. What's the difference that they would get? How many, and maybe I should ask this, how many oranges are in a glass of orange juice?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm sure there's a lot of factors that go into that, the size of the orange and how well it's juiced. I used to, many years ago, I had a champion juicer, which is like it's the dinosaur juicer, but it was a juice extractor. So it took all the pulp and everything out of the juice, and that's kind of what we're getting when we drink commercial juice. Of course, I could take that pulp and I could use it in other recipes. So when you eat an orange, you're getting much less juice, but you're getting that membrane. You're getting the inside of the pulp, and those are rich in nutrients. And even if we do a zester and you zest some of the orange peel, and it's great in recipes, you're getting the oil, the essential oils. You're getting so many more nutrients and fiber, because that's one of the things that's taken out of the processed juices is the fiber, and having a diet that has fiber in it definitely helps with blood glucose imbalances, because we're eating so many refined foods that we don't have that fiber to slow down the absorption rate, and that's where we kind of kicks our body out of balance with trying to keep up with glucose and insulin levels and keep everything normal, because we're throwing too much sugar in there and not enough fiber to balance everything out. So definitely it's much healthier to eat the fresh fruit.
Well, it's probably more filling, because I was just looking up while you were talking. It takes 4 to 5 oranges for an 8-ounce glass of orange juice.
For 8 ounces.
That's a lot of orange.
Exactly, and most people are not going to sit down and eat that many oranges, especially if it's a baseball-sized navel orange. I know I can eat several of those little nectarines, the little cuties. I can go through those pretty quickly. But again, you're getting all the fiber, and especially even if you chew up the seeds, you're really getting a broader nutritional profile than if you just drink the juice.
Okay, so that's brain food. All right, so we're going to get rid of the sugary stuff. What else is on the bad list?
Fried foods that have a lot of chemicals and dyes and additives and artificial flavors, and we have to really watch the oils or the fats that those are fried in, because we've heard for years we want to stay away from the trans fats, but the studies are really showing that with the Alzheimer conditioning that we see in increasing numbers, we do have to go back and look at dietary choices in previous years and how that has affected brain health. So foods that are high in trans fats, and those are a lot of the margarines, the shortenings, the frostings, the snack foods, a lot of the prepackaged cookies and ready-made cakes. Those have those high trans fat content, and that's just not, over time, it's not healthy for our brain. You might not notice it the minute you eat that cookie, like you're going to notice if you have a real high sugar content, you'll notice that sugar rush, but it's over time when we eat a diet that is pretty high in the trans fats, the processed and fried foods, that then we start to have that fuzzy thinking. And I talk to people all the time that, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a brain fog. Well, that could be an accumulation of some of the foods we've eaten for a long period of time. And the trans fats, the fried foods, definitely fall into that category.
Okay. All right. So what else?
This is a little bit of an overlap, but the highly processed foods, and that's our chips, our sweets, the instant noodles and pasta, microwave popcorn, store-bought sauces, a lot of the ready-made meals, the microwave meals as well. And those just, they are high in chemicals, and they just don't have they don't have the fiber, they don't have the live enzymes that fresh fruit or vegetables have. So, again, we're eating foods that kind of steal the life from the body and the brain rather than promote and give life.
All right, so what I'm hearing you say, I'm just going to do a summary here for bad food. You need to start learning to cook from scratch again in some cases. That's what I'm hearing. You're not, if you're trying to do the, as you said, microwave, if you're going to stock up with Stouffer's or all these other foods because of all the additives, that over time there's going to be some kind of an erosion on your energy and your work efficiencies. Is that what I'm hearing?
You spoke that like an author.
Oh my God!
Imagine
okay.
that. You are exactly right, and it's like with anything. It's the accumulative effect. One or two meals once in a while, and that's why I like the 80% idea. That if I go back to Texas and eat fried chicken, and it's fried with Crisco, that one meal is not going to undo my health. But growing up, I mean, we did that frequently. Mm-hmm. But if those types of foods, especially the processed foods, the prepackaged, purchased foods, commercial foods, if that's a regular part of our diet, yes, over time we're going to reach a point where the body says, I just can't keep detoxing. I can't keep regenerating newer, healthier, more vibrant cells because I don't have the ingredients to do that. Yeah, we're going to wake up in the morning feeling tired, and by the middle of the afternoon, we're going to have a brain fog because we're not consuming those life-giving foods.
All righty, so we're going to take another quick break here. Connie Pshigoda is with me, and we are talking really about how to get healthy as we write. And we're going to get into the good foods, and then we're going to get into some real-time strategies from why you should be hydrating and everything else. But you all know that, right? We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Discover the power of you and your book at the Judith Briles Unplugged events. Each summer, Judith Briles Book Marketing Unplugged unfolds over 3 intensive days working with just Judith. You get publishing strategies, author and book platforms, book marketing panache and pizzazz, and authoring tools to take you and your book to rock star success. In the fall and winter, Judith Briles Speaking Unplugged includes Judith as your coach and mentor during 2 powerful days. You will learn how to structure a speech, how to create openings and closings, how to find gigs that pay you and sell your books, and you will get one-on-one coaching. Go to thebookshepherd.com and click on the Events tab to learn how to participate at the next Unplugged Workshop event.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we're talking about foods that heal and foods that steal for our author and writing brains and body. So Connie has gone through, basically, you stay away from all the instant stuff, all the prepackaged. And if you splurge one day a month or something, this is not going to kill you. You know, you're not going to slow down, but it's when you have a steady diet of the bad sugary foods, all the junk and the fried trans fat type foods and the processed food. And I'm assuming that booze and smoking is on your list, Connie. Would that be correct?
Alcohol and nicotine, yes, are two of the items on the list.
All right, so we've got that. And then one of the things Connie brought up during the break when we were just chit-chatting is really how bad artificial sweeteners can be on you over a period of time. So she's suggesting add a touch of honey if you need it. Then that also, Connie's suggesting that you should brush your tongue to rejuvenate that baby so it can have taste buds again.
That's right, because all of these processed foods or just the highly sugared foods that most Americans eat, it's coating our tongue so we don't really taste the true flavors of foods. I mean, before all the artificial sweeteners even existed, people ate fruit as a dessert, and we didn't have, let's say, all the artificial sweeteners to entice to sweeten up our flavors. So we've gotten to the point where if it's not sweet, we want to reject it. And we've got 5 different flavor receptors to give us, we should have the sweet, the sour, and the bitter, and the savory, and we don't even, our tongues don't even recognize those flavors anymore. So, yeah, get back to the natural foods, brush your tongue, liven up those taste receptors, and just enjoy the true flavor of the food. Most of us will be surprised.
I think you're right. All right, so I want you to tell me what's on your short list of good foods that you should have? You know, is there anything different from besides having fresh in front of it?
Well, for going with for real foods, especially for snacks, I think that's where most people struggle is how to have a healthy snack. And avocados are possibly nature's most perfect food. They've got they're nutrient dense, and some brain experts really believe that that's just the world's most perfect food. They've got a healthy form of fat, which our brains need, and they're not. They're not. It's not the unhealthy fat. We were just talking about all the trans fats, but they're high in amino acids, and they've got B vitamins, and so they're an excellent. I love my avocado toast as an afternoon snack sometimes. You know, dark chocolate, we've all heard the pros and cons of chocolate, but there are some health benefits to the dark chocolate. So even if you wanted to have a bite or two of chocolate on your snack tray while you're writing, and walnuts. Walnuts are a healthy brain food that, again, with the healthy fats and all the nutrients that they've got are great brain food, and actually some nutritional specialists call it the number 1 brain food. And water is crucial because our brain might be one of the first organs that will give us signals of dehydration. Maybe we'd get a headache, or maybe we'll feel a little foggy thinking, or some people feel nauseous or weak. And sometimes just go get a big glass, an 8 to 12 ounce glass of water, and people are amazed when they stay hydrated how much more energized they feel physically as well as mentally. So those are a few things, but we're going into the spring season, so fruits will be on the spring menu because they're very cleansing. They're high in nutrients. They're high in water. So look for the fresh blueberries and strawberries that usually open the spring season. But those are great to have a fruit platter, and avocado goes well with fresh fruit, and walnuts. So there's a healthy snack right there.
Sounds good to me. So what about some of what I loved about in your book, you really did get into some of since we mentioned spring, you talk about the springtime pantry, of what you have from, there's artichokes in it. Well, you're seeing asparagus everywhere now. When I'm in a grocery store, there's always displays of asparagus out there.
Asparagus is a great springtime food. And what we start to see more of, I always joke with people that greens, we start to see green, and that's our sign of spring, whether it's tree buds or we start to see the lawn peeking out green. But the number one green that most people see poking up are the dandelions in their yard or around the highways. And we just don't, in our modern culture, we don't realize how valuable from a nutritional standpoint that dandelions are. And the entire plant, from the root, the leaves, and even the flower of a dandelion plant are high in nutrition. And you can find dandelion greens bundle in the greens section at your grocery store. And actually my upcoming blog is going to be with a fried egg over a bed of braised dandelion greens. So our bodies will be craving the chlorophyll in the springtime that most of our winter diets did not have in them, because greens are a little more scarce in the winter, especially in Colorado. So a phrase that I hear frequently this time of year is that women say, oh, my gosh, I'm just craving a salad. We want the crisp taste. We want the crunchy. We want the clean flavors and textures now that we didn't have in our winter diet. So your body really will tell you pretty much what it needs. So this is definitely the season. Go for the greens. The mixed greens are great. The spring herbal greens, they'll have some dandelion in there. The arugula, some of your bitter herbs are great in a salad because they stimulate the digestive juices, so to speak. That really helps to emulsify the stored winter fat that we may have accumulated with our pot roast and all of our heavier winter meals, and the body really is ready to flush that out. It doesn't need to store that as we go into the warmer season. So the body is an amazing, amazing mechanism. So if we just feed it correctly, it knows what to do, and it wants to detox and cleanse out the heaviness of the winter. And so the spring berries, the greens, the artichokes and the asparagus, those are great ways to start your body going into springtime menus.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've got those, and when you hit on, I have to tell you, when you hit on the walnuts, I can't eat walnuts. They cut up my mouth. It just doesn't work for me. So, that's off my list. But avocados, I love. Sometimes just opening avocado, I put a little bit of salt on it, just a couple, just a little bit.
Yeah, well, a little
yummers.
Bit of salt. Yes, or even lime and just a little.
Ooh, yum!
Yes.
Yeah.
It's, that's a great snack.
Yeah. No, I would vote totally for that. All right, so that's your pantry, everyone. That she's literally kind of laid out, and of course there's always herbs and spices that you can add to that. I love you when you brought up the dandelion. There's dandelion teas out there. You can really hit it if you want to. But that's the kind of thing that you want to start thinking about and then adding to it. What about protein? What kind of protein are you recommending in the springtime?
There's a lot of controversy. We definitely need protein. The protein are made up of building blocks called amino acids, and we definitely need those. And most of your foods have all of those compounds in them, and that's why it's so important to get a variety of fresh foods. You're not going to find the fresh building blocks in man-made processed foods. So I know for vegetarians, they get a lot of their protein from the beans or legumes, but there are, I just think I had that list about the avocado. It's got the amino acids. It's got some amino acids in them, and actually avocados has an amino acid called tyrosine, which is a precursor to dopamine. And so that's a brain chemical that helps you stay motivated and focused. So all of these little building blocks, vitamins and minerals, they all kind of have a job to do. So it's important that we get a variety of foods. Personally, I'm not a huge animal protein consumer. I'm not totally vegetarian, but I don't rely on meat sources to get my full protein profile. But that's why, again, going back to every season, as much of a variety of natural foods that I can get, that I know I'm getting those proteins, because there's a lot of protein in like garbanzo beans and peas. A lot of the protein powders now, because of so many of the consumers with allergies to dairy, they go with a bean or a pea protein. So you can get those by eating those foods.
Well, that sounds, I'm hungry. How's that?
We're finished here.
How's that for hungry now? We're going to just kind of finish this up. All right, so you've got kind of a groundwork that we're laying out here for you to kind of put this all together with that. So, and we have 1 minute till we have our final break, Connie. But okay. What I would, love to get into is actually if you would be willing to share some of your very cool recipes and pull out a few of those and put those together that people can think of. Maybe you have some favorites that you like to do as taking some of these ingredients like the asparagus or the avocado or some of the other things. For example, I have a crazy beet salad that I just take, and you can tell me, I know you're going to tell me where I'm a bad girl, but I just take a vanilla honey yogurt, and I put that on the bottom, and then I load it up with a whole bunch of avocado all cut up, and then I add cut up oranges on top of it, sometimes a little pomegranate on top of it, and then I will sprinkle it with, this is the bad part, a little French fried onion rings just for that crunch. It's so delicious. We'll be right back.
That does sound good. And
this is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and guide to collaborate with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You do not need more problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and chaos. At times, she has had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, by a publishing service provider, and sometimes even by the author. If you want author and book success, connect with her today at thebookshepherd.com.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, our final segment. We're going to talk about some very cool recipes. I actually led off as we went into break, and I forgot the one missing ingredient. So this is it's called within our group of friends JB's beet salad. So on the bottom layer, just take a plate. I take honey yogurt. Just yogurt with vanilla yogurt with a little honey in it. Then I put a layer of pickled beets on it. And it's very cool because all of a sudden my yogurt starts turning a little pinky color. Then I put oranges or any citrus fruit. Sometimes I just open the refrigerator and see what I have. So I cut up those, dice it up. Then I add a whole bunch of chopped up avocado on it. And sometimes if I have pomegranate, I'll put a little bit of that on. And then this is the naughty side. I will take, because I just opened my pantry, thought, there's some French fried onion rings. Mm-hmm. So, and I just crumple a few of those on top of it. And I've actually had people say, if you will just leave this in front of me, I will eat this for my entire meal. It is so, you're talking people 5-minute prep, really delicious. And as spring, summer, I mean, it just kind of goes, but people love it. So that's my contribution, Connie. Yeah, it is. All right, your turn.
Well, you mentioned asparagus, and asparagus is definitely one of springtime's favorite foods, vegetables, herbs. Asparagus is high in chlorophyll. It's very alkalinizing, which is important this time of year for the body, but it is so versatile. Just like your 5-minute beet recipe, asparagus can be chopped up raw in a salad. It can be sautéed. It can be stir-fried with other vegetables. It can be broiled in the oven with a little bit of lemon and butter. It can be grilled. So asparagus, I mean, you could have asparagus 3 or 4 times a week throughout the springtime because it's, again, simple, fast, and very highly nutritious. So it's definitely a springtime go-to food. A couple of my favorite recipes for a springtime brunch, I've got a spring herb frittata, and then I have an asparagus cheesy scone recipe. And so the two of those together make a delightful springtime brunch. And I've got those recipes online on my blog posts, and I'm happy to send those to anyone who wants a super simple, tasty springtime brunch that makes a great meal.
Okay, are those in your book at all, Connie, or are they just separate on your blog?
I know for sure they're on my blog, and I've got so many different recipes in my book for the springtime. I know in my book I try to use mostly vegetable dishes, so I'm not sure that I would have used I've got roasted asparagus in my springtime book, and I've also got, I didn't put a lot of bread type recipes. So no, those are not in my book, those are on my blog.
Okay, so again, her website, so you can get to the blog, everyone, is wellnessforallseasons.com. And I would subscribe to the blog and get some of these little goodies that come along because they're really wonderful. recipes. I mean, I've always liked them. And when Connie and I met years and years ago, I just said, you ought to have these kind of like a seasonal bookmarks. And go on. And Connie, before we leave, we have several minutes, but before we leave, I want you to, what separates the seasons? Why should we think for our bodies there's seasonal cooking, there's seasonal eating? What's the difference between summer and winter?
Well, if we think about what our bodies are doing, we're really supporting our body's natural design. So if you think about the summer, especially in hotter climates, we want our bodies to stay cool. We want to really focus on heart health and digestive health because those are the circulatory systems in our body, and heat stroke is a serious health condition and concern. So we want to eat foods that will complement that cooling process. We want to support our body's air conditioning. So foods have their own personalities. Some are very cooling in nature, and some are warming in nature. So you've heard the expression, as cool as a cucumber, and we love watermelon because it is about 70 or 80% water. So those types of foods have a cooling effect on our body's system because most of us on a hot August summer day, we're not going to want to go have a cup of hot soup, or we're not going to want to eat a pot roast. We don't want those heating foods. So selecting foods in the season that they're ripe, because watermelons don't grow in January. So choosing those foods that support those body systems just complements healing and wholesome health. So going into the fall and the winter seasons, now our body's trying to keep us warm. It's trying to insulate us, and we want the warming foods that will support that. And that's why the root vegetables, the winter squashes, your hard shelled squashes, the pumpkin, the butternut squash, acorn squash, those squashes are very dense, and you'll notice they're very different from the zucchini and the yellow crookneck squash, which are high in water. If you saute summer squash, you're going to get a pot full of water because they're high water content. So the summer squash are more cooling, but those denser squashes are warming to the body, and you can eat a little bit and feel full without the high calories. So if we're thinking about supporting our body's natural systems, which we have 11 systems in our body, and we want all of those 11 systems to function well together, the foods that we choose can definitely help support that so that we have vitality all year long.
Well, I love that. One of the things I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, Connie, but I started substituting as small slices of zucchini and summer squash, the yellow summer squash, for crackers. And then you could put a little cheese on it or whatever you wanted to do, or whatever you had to dip, instead of having the bread cracker. And I found I like that a lot.
And again, how simple is that? And the summer squash cooks very quickly. The winter squash does take a little bit longer to prepare. But again, it's quick in the kitchen, quick prep time, and so wholesome and nutritious. And it gives your body energy. It doesn't deplete your body's energy. So yeah, that's how I like to cook. Just simple and nutritious and tasty, and supports vitality throughout your whole body.
Oh, sounds great. Well, you mentioned earlier, I heard you because of spring, or actually people, eat breakfast all year round, and eggs are often a common ingredient, no matter what the season is, if I get this right. But you mentioned a frittata. Do you have some tips and tricks that you like to use to make a really good frittata that can, and maybe tap into some of the season foods that go with it?
You can take a basic egg frittata dish, and you can change the ingredients. For this particular one that has the spring herbs in it, which cilantro is one of my favorite herbs, but you can add the herbs that you like, or you can change those seasonally. So you could add parsley, the curly parsley or the flathead parsley. I mean, you can chop up all kind of, even the spring salad mix. So eggs are great. They are there's a lot of controversy around eggs right now, but I love my eggs, and I'm not going to give my eggs up. But they're so versatile. You can change whatever flavoring. I love to just saute some of the red and yellow bell peppers, and then I'll open my egg in the skillet, and I use olive oil. Sometimes I will use butter to saute my egg, but I love to put my egg over fresh peppers. So you can really get versatile with egg dishes.
Mm-hmm. Well, also you can. I mean, we also we'll get those into the summer, late summer, into fall. But when you're talking about peppers, you can get into chili peppers, and you can make chili, and you can get into making chili verde, and all that. And some people add, pork to their chili verde and cook it down. I made a big pot with my next door neighbor. It's like I was the cedar of all the chilies, let me tell you. And those chilies that are warming, I mean, those are fabulous circulation stimulants, because your eyes are going to water, your nose is going to run, and you're really stimulating warmth into the body. So yeah, those are wonderful fall and winter foods. Mm-hmm. But I think that, then we freeze it up, and then so for the treat, sometimes during where the morning is, of course, I'm talking almost any time of the year, you can add a little bit of that just for taste, which is what I like to do. Not smother, just taste.
Right.
I'm all for that.
Most people really need to stimulate their blood flow and their circulation, and you cannot go wrong with the chili peppers that do that. That's an excellent, natural, nutritious way to do that.
Oh, I know. All right, so tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you. We have 1 minute before we close off. How do they get a hold of you besides going to your website?
They can go to my website, and there is a contact form that they can connect with me and let me know if there are particular recipes that they would like to have. I'm happy to share whatever I've posted. I'm working on my archive so that they can just clearly go into whatever particular recipe interests them. My email is Connie@wellnessforallseasons, all words, all written out, .com, Connie@wellnessforallseasons.com. And I would love to connect with someone who loves food and loves to be healthy.
That's always a goal. So for everyone, the more healthy you eat, not only will you feel better, but I'm going to guarantee you will write better. You'll be more creative. You'll think better. You'll have the energy to support you, your book, your writing, your marketing, and everything else. And with that, Connie, thank you so much for being with us today.
This has been a delight, Judith. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each